Greetings everyone and welcome to Faction Spotlight. My name is Napoleon Complex, I go by Ludendorff on the Slytherin forums, and today we will be having another look at the Galatian 280 to 63 BC list. This list is characterised by many superior warbands, which are capable of breaking through anything which isn't a superior unit with offensive spear capability or a pike phalanx. And even pike phalanxes may fall to this unit if the superior warband can cause disruptions on impact, break through the line, and then get around the flanks of the remaining pikes. The list is also characterised by a strong body of heavy cavalry. You can either bring cheap noble cavalry, or you can bring a few elite cavalry. Or you can decide to bring them all, but that will probably leave you with far fewer resources for your powerful infantry line. In particular, if you bring both the superior warbands and the armoured noble cavalry and the noble cavalry, and let's just take the chariots for argument's sake, then you won't have any, or you will have very few resources left to bring the warbands that are needed to pad this army out, and you will probably be left with too small of an army to really be viable. Although, if you can manage to keep the flanks protected, it will be an extremely powerful one that will win most engagements it encounters, as long as they aren't dragged into rough ground. Now, the ordinary warbands are, in my opinion, one of the more run down and underestimated units in the game. I think warbands are fine units. They are very powerful against other average quality units, particularly those that lack offensive spear and only have, light spear capabilities. They are excellent medium killers when out in the open, so they are very good for shattering, say, Italian foot or Phoenician style foot. These are excellent breakthrough units when the opposition to them is not outstandingly disciplined. If your opponent is outstandingly disciplined and you're dealing with superior units like the veteran Italian foot that have strayed into the open, then you want to take out your superior warbands to deal with them. Another example for a unit that would be vulnerable to the superior warbands, but which might be difficult, but that the warbands might find difficult to deal with, are the elite Folksmen of the Dacian lists. So the main problem that the warbands have, and one of the reasons people often don't bring them, well, there's two reasons. One, their cohesion check is lousy. If anything does go wrong for these units, and this applies to the superior warbands as well, though they are helped by their superior status, they do not get the +1 to their cohesion check in the open that ordinary heavy infantry get. And as a result, they can disrupt or fragment quite quickly. And so you really need to pick your matchups carefully. Try to avoid using these against troops who can negate their impact bonus and who can then win the resulting melee. And this is why the Roman lists are so dangerous to warband lists, because the Romans are usually above average or superior, even elite, so they can negate the quality, so they can get a quality advantage over the superior warbands. And they are impact foot themselves, which means they negate the impact foot, and so all the warbands are left with is their advantage in numbers, and they usually can't hold on long enough to get the upper hand over the less numerous number of Romans before they blow a critical cohesion test and disrupt or fragment. And of course, there is the obvious triple weaknesses that the Galatian list has. They have no elephants and they have no counters to elephants, which means the elephant heavy armies will be able to spread panic and fear through the superior warbands unless the Galatian player is clever enough to distract these units somehow. They have almost no skirmisher protection, only 4 light javelin who will be easily tied up by the enemy skirmishers, and this leaves them very open to enemy skirmishers attacking the warbands. Though the light javelin may be worth taking just to distract enemy skirmishers, as you want to keep these superior warbands as intact as possible before they can hit the enemy line. If you want them to hit with full, if you want their large unit size to live up to its full capability. Though usually you don't want to use skirmishers on warbands anyway. Not unless you can really concentrate your fire and actually get a disruption, in which case the average warbands would be a better target. Attacking superior warbands with javelins is kind of like trying to bring down a phalanx with skirmishers, and it's even worse because you don't even get the bonus of knocking out the pikes POA advantage by taking out rows of men. The final weakness is, and you may have picked up on this, is that we have no medium foot whatsoever. Anywhere there is rough ground in the battlefield, we cannot gain access to it unless we can get a flank attack, and we will have trouble attacking this difficult slope at all. And so this allows medium infantry to effectively paralyze the superior warbands until more dangerous units can move around the sides. And when you're playing the Galatians, because they have such an expensive army, it is a battle against time. You will be outnumbered, you will be outflanked, and it is just a matter of time until that happens in most situations. That said, today we may have an exception because, of course, the point of this series is not just to spotlight the Galatians once, but to show how they do against other lists. And today we are focusing on a pike and lance, well, a pike-heavy Hellenistic army. So this is the Macedonian list. Now they aren't all pikes, they have a good list of offensive spear and some hoplites, so they have a good mix of heavy and medium offensive spearmen, and some good quality medium troops who are capable of holding the rough ground for them. And this, of course, will allow them to tie down my superior warband if we're stupid enough to blunder close to the rough ground, which, given our skirmishers' inferiority, we may have to do, long enough for the powerful pike phalanxes, and particularly these veteran pike phalanxes, to move in and get the kill. So the problem with the Galatians have is, of course, the strategy is very inflexible. It is some variation of an all-out infantry charge, or perhaps a flanking action if they can get the cavalry around the back, and they do not have a lot of offensive options besides that. But as I said, even these pike phalanxes may lose an impact, or they may lose their back ranks and start to lose to the superior warbands before the warbands lose to them if they can hold out long enough. Particularly if they lose an impact but hold their cohesion, the casualties may damage the pike phalanx's chances. We also have elephants to look out for, and these elephants will be extremely dangerous. I will have to think of a way to distract those elephants, as I'm unlikely to bring them down with light javelinmen. The lancers will also be very good at blocking the superior warbands. If my opponent, ZoeMaximus, who I haven't played against before, if she is clever enough to block my progress with the Zeistafori in front of my infantry, then that will force me into costly charges which will decimate my superior warbands and may cause them to disrupt or even fragment given their cohesion penalty, especially fighting lancers. So I think this Macedonian list will be quite strong against the Galatians, and of course I didn't just want, this is one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to take this Galatian list against a strong pike army. I didn't want to bring it against a mediocre pike army. And the Macedonians still have the main focus on their pikes and the other Hellenistic elements, but they also have some, well, they have, by Hellenistic I mean the elements from Diadochi armies, but they also have some Greek city-state style elements supporting them, and from, of course, the Greek allies of Alexander's conquests, and they have some elephants and some more mediocre cavalry as well, in addition to the famous Zeistafori. Lots of skirmishers too, but not quite as dangerous as some skirmish lists would be to the Galatians as they advance. So now that I've gone over all the difficulties that this army faces, I will be back once I finish my deployment. So I've set up with light javelinmen to distract the enemy skirmishers. I have a solid front line of superior warbands, and I have various armoured noble cavalry, and their main job, along with the Celtic chariots, is to distract any of the enemy's most dangerous units. The armoured noble cavalry will be able to at least stand up to the Zeistafori if they can survive impact, and the noble cavalry will be able to cope with any other enemy cavalry, and the main job of the chariots will be to draw off elephant attacks and make sure that they don't hit my superior warband front line. And if I do encounter elephants, then they will split the superior warbands in different directions and then create channels that the elephants will have to pursue my chariots through. If I can use light javelin against the elephants, then that will be a distinct bonus, and obviously that will be very valuable, but I doubt that will happen somehow. I have also arranged my command structure in such a way that it is always possible to get infantry, all of my generals on my infantry at times, but I also have 2 generals available for my cavalry on both flanks if they are needed. With that, let's start the battle. See you next turn. Okay, here we go. My opponent doesn't seem that confident. But that's never been a reason to underestimate my opponents. Look at that wall of death. Right, so this is a very simple story. We need to break through on the flanks before they can break through in the center. And they've also got a massive wing of cavalry. Okay. No elephants though, which I'm happy to see. I'm always happy to not see elephants as the Galatians. Move the cavalry. Well, let's not swoop down from the top of the map just yet. Leave the noble cavalry on top of the ridge for the moment. I'm going to need to send my chariots around the back. I'm also going to need to extend the line out here. My noble cavalry should at least be able to easily match those armoured cavalry. But the veteran... Oh, and I've got my armoured noble cavalry to deal with the veterans, so that's good. Again, another reason to love the Galatians. Now you see, I would like to leave a unit of chariots to get the flank on those Thuria-Phoroi. I think I'm going to do it. It means that I don't think I have adequate support to beat those Istophoroi, but if I can delay them and get a flank attack here, then that could win me the battle, assuming that my frontal charge doesn't work. Although, look at the length of my line though. No, wait, because we're overlapping them a little bit here. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Versus a front line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh-oh. This looks like more than 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Have to break these lads on the charge, otherwise I'm going to be in serious trouble. Because my line is shorter. Okay, keep the skirmishers back and to the side, I think, because Zoe hasn't really brought enough. Put these guys over to the worst of that. That's not too many to challenge my centre, and if the skirmishers can swoop in from the flanks, we should be able to at least neutralise the skirmisher threat. But I can't really dominate it. Yeah, Zoe, I would never laugh at another player's mistakes. I make, for starters, even if I wasn't the hopefully reasonably nice person I am, I make too many of them myself to really like that, like leaving my warbands back at the starting position. They need to catch up because they are going to be a critical part of my army. That actually gives me the units I need to get at their flanks, but look at where they're back to. Stupid mistake to make. Next turn. But very easy to do. Okay, back in the field. Now that's a bit risky, because they're unsupported. It's not likely, but I could try and catch this light javelin horse. Now this is interesting. Is it wise to come off of that bluff? Very aggressive opening. She's not afraid to come out and fight. Right. Right, let's see. So quite a short front line. That cavalry is dangerous, but my cavalry on the hill should be able to keep it in check. Especially that placing that warband ended up being quite fortuitous. I wonder if she's going to be this aggressive. Aha. Now this is what, let's see. Can I, no, I can't quite turn in for the charge, but I can definitely threaten now. Let's see. Fortunately, I can't close off the retreat here. But what I'm hoping to do is drive the light javelin horse back towards the edge of the battlefield, and then I'll knock it off the side of the map. So they can run off in that direction. I'll be able to make it to about here. But I can just chase them down at that angle. But then they can escape into the woods. I don't know if I can quite manage this. Not unless I can get into a position to block that retreat. And that's probably just a waste of my cavalry, to be honest. Let's see. Well, we definitely have the advantage on this flank. The danger is that these horse get right around the back of our army and then crash into the rear, but I think I can make that too time consuming for them. Okay, I think I'll need to stand under the skirmisher fire for a while because I want this movement to continue. I want Zoe to bring her army out into the center of the field, and then I am going to make a sudden push to the left, and I'm going to try and smash this flank. Oh, but there's the rough ground to consider, isn't there? Can I beat the 3-4 out of that rough ground? Not really, because we'll be in strike distance then. Okay, this is where a key part of playing as the Galatians comes in. You need to be able to maneuver around rough ground. So what I'm going to do, in fact, is I'm going to start immediately. I'm going to show that I'm willing to swing around the rough ground. So I'm going to start a flanking maneuver here. Something came up in my computer. Rough ground's disrupting my movements a little bit, but it shouldn't be too serious. I can form up again. So we are going to start to move around. And I think I will belay that original order. Thing is, well, at least my cavalry can threaten from the bluff. And I can probably station a few superior warbands on this hill to protect against their cavalry attack. Also, if the Zeissophori try to swing in through here, it'll probably obstruct the other units from coming to bringing their forces to bear. I'm trying to concentrate my forces against the 3-4 on this hill. And if they try to stop me from doing that by getting onto the rough ground, then my plan is to just swing right around this position and then flank them. In fact, I think I can get in the way from next turn because I can bring this cavalry inwards to zone of control, the 3-4 here, and that will block their advance. Unfortunately, I don't think I can obstruct this unit, but this rough ground isn't large enough to obstruct. that unit there, and if that Thorakita unit holds back here, then the rough ground can possibly protect against the central attack of my army, but I don't think they have anything to stop this. So that's what we'll do. Right. So a little bit more aggressive than the strategy I discussed at first, but I think it will help. And what I will do is bring in my light javelin. They might get disrupted, but it might discourage these Cretan archers from getting too close if they're in danger of being charged by the light javelin, or at least the light javelin can drive them off if that becomes necessary. Let's see. Okay, next turn. In which I get bombarded by skirmishers. Now I'm probably going to get my chariots and cavalry chased off if they try to seize the top of the hill. Well, we can still try to avoid the rough ground. Oh, but then we got the this is getting difficult. I can probably try to block the veteran pike phalanx here by placing a unit to guard this forested area, and that will obstruct anything coming through the forest if I can keep my troops back here. So this could give me a little bit of breathing space. I'm actually in quite a difficult position here. Push up to here because that allows me access to the Thorakita who I want to engage. I'll shove them off the field. Can I turn an attack here? Okay, that lets me put a little bit of pressure on the slingers, who are quite dangerous to my position, honestly. Let's see if I can chase off those Cretan archers. Good. That gives us a little bit of peace at least. So I need to buy some time. I need this warband to guard this rough ground. So at least this should get in the way of the veteran pike, although it's not a very good position, honestly. I think I've made a mistake. Because those Istophori will be threatening the flanks before I can protect them. I can move the warband onto the rough ground. It will be disrupted, but that should keep the Istophori off my back. We're definitely in a defensive action on this right flank now. I don't care. Those severely disordered cavalry don't bother me in the slightest. Rough ground is definitely going to slow us down here. But I'm risking opening up a gap here, but I'm still going to move the line forward because I want to get right around the sides here. Because I've got enough troops that I can end up facing cavalry, and my cavalry will be my superior warbands will be more than able to shove armoured cavalry out the way, and that will allow us to start our infantry attack. So yeah, just bring everything around the flank now. Do I want to move straight up to this hill? Veteran armed cavalry against my... It does put their armoured cavalry in a bit of a difficult position. And, at least we're fighting up the crest of the hill instead of... no. I'm trying to think carefully because I don't want to expose my cavalry to being flanked. Could create a bit of a bottleneck though, but a bottleneck probably acts in her favour rather than mine. And the rough ground obstructs my chariots, so I would need to go... What I will do is I'll throw my chariots out here, and they'll be a good distraction for the veteran armoured cavalry. Because that's a very cheap unit being drawing away hopefully a very expensive unit. And if Zoe sends the armoured cavalry instead, then I can always move. That will give me a numerical advantage on the side of the battlefield, which is what I'm going for. Move up even more chariot support. But I'm very vulnerable here. If anything goes wrong here, I don't have any reserves. It's quite a dicey situation. Keep that warband moving up. Okay, next turn. My opponent goes by he. It's a sorry, this is why you don't assume based on the username of someone. Apparently Zoe is the name of his cat. Okay. So he is quite well set up on that hill. On the other hand, my superior warband has a general on it, so I might be able to break through here. Why can't I just charge here? Making sure I can't accidentally reveal any troops. Now I can. So we'll still have the advantage, but for how long? And also, it means moving up here. But wait. Yeah, I can get the better of this situation. Charge. Okay, no joy. I would have hoped for at least a pushback. Move up here to guard the flank. Charge again. Hope for a breakthrough. Okay, so once again these offensive spearmen just can't stand up to the force of the... Yes, maybe I didn't quite think that through hard enough. Here's the situation. So, I mean, I'm obviously still going to break through here eventually, but I can't really just stay at the bottom of the hill here, because my Celtic chariots will just be chased off by his veteran armoured cavalry coming down the hill, and then he can guard the flanks here. So I need to be a little bit cleverer than that. I do have a few options available. So these units can swing around next turn. If I can move up to... at least threaten this area. So if I can move here, and I can threaten this unit with a diagonal charge. No, that's not going to do it. Oh, well, we'll get there eventually. I couldn't quite figure it out. And I think I'll just up the pressure there by moving around here as well. He is reacting by moving his... Right, he's going to move over towards this side of the battlefield. He's shadowing my movements. Well, let's see if I can get something out of this. They ran a mile. Now I can't retreat from this situation. Yeah, keep moving onto that ridge, please. We're going to need your help. I could just try and slam through on into the rest of the army. Because if I can intercept this phalanx at the right point, if he's going to come down like this. The problem is the Zeistphori are threatening me. Well, it's worth coming here and threatening this piece of ground anyway, but we do need to get a move on, because move the chariots over to help a little bit here, because we might be able to lock down some of the pikes. Because while the warbands can beat a pike phalanx on even ground or going downhill, they are not going to stand a chance against the steady pike phalanx if the pikes have a height advantage. And the danger here is that I'm going to be pinned in this position. Of course, the other option is to win the cavalry battle and get around their backs, but I'm in a pretty difficult position just now. We can shadow them here at least. No, but I really don't want to expose my line right now. We have to show a modicum of caution. Once I get these warbands into position, I can consider leading a charge downhill against those Zeistphori. Not right now. Right now we're just taking damage from cavalry, from this cavalry. I wonder if I should charge here. Small risk of the Zeistphori getting a flanking charge, but it would at least get these light javelin horse out of a hair. And if it was one of his Zeistphori gets distracted chasing my noble cavalry, that's probably a win for me on balance. Oh, well, never mind. Problem solved. Bit of a non-issue, really. And we are getting bombarded by this missile infantry. Similar situation to my game as against the Scythians. I'm getting hurt quite badly from skirmisher fire. At least it's not my cavalry who are the target this time. Next turn. You can pelt me with javelins all you like, I'm not coming out to play. Oh. He has other units as well. This is where the small size of the Galatian army causes problems, because I need to move up to engage these phalangites. Good. That early break helps us. So another feature of the Galatian army, they're good assault troops. They're very good at effecting breakthroughs quickly when you need them. Right, let's see if we can't give those pikes something to worry about. The only thing is I'll be attacking uphill from this side. And up a steep hill at that. But it would let me get a flank attack in next turn. The alternative is just throwing more troops in and trying to get the break in these 3 or 4 quickly. Because I need to try to free up these forces so they can help against the rest of the army. And what I also need to do is start to get around the flanks of these forces here. I need to get around the mountain, threaten the backs of the phalanx, and that's going to be how I win the game. But they're going to be upon me very soon. And due to the steep slope here, the only unit that can force... even the warband can't force a way through here. Because the armoured cavalry will get a massive advantage due to the side of the hill. Again, arrogance as the infantry commander, I assumed that I could always just drive off the cavalry, but it doesn't quite fit here, that rule. Let's see, how bad is it? Not too bad. With the impact bonus we can carry this out. So even though that's a 100% POA advantage from the hill, I can still carry out this assault, and that's a fragmentation. We're getting through. And... oh, we can't quite charge here. But I can move up to threaten. And my Celtic chariots may be able to do something to lock up these pike phalanxes. Although I am worried about the pursuit could cause a problem. Right, on second thoughts, we are charging here. Because I need this unit to break quickly if these units pursue. And then... so I need this unit to break quickly so my units aren't hitting the back while they're engaged. No, this isn't the time to be conservative. I'm going to throw my javelin men in, start harassing them, and also start to gum up the works for any attempted intervention for those pike phalanxes. It's time to put them in difficult positions, draw them thin. I'm going to start to move my warbands out. I need to close down the options for that attacking army. And I need to do it quickly. My warbands finally crest the hill. So I am now going to quietly pull this unit back so that it has a better coverage of this line of the battle. Honestly, is there any point? Yeah, probably better in that case just to orient over here, because if he wants to block them off, he'll need to bring some troops in here. But the problem is this warband's just not going to make it in time to influence the battle. So I need to free up this unit, and this warband needs to start threatening the square here. I think I'll move closer to the... it means we'll be severely disordered though. No, I need to keep this arc open, I think. And let's see, maybe we can draw these Istophori into a bad position. If he charges now, then he could pull his Istophori onto bad ground. Let's see. I really need to get to this area here. Keep everything around, even a charge out may be necessary in order to stop those Istophori flanking my line. It all needs to come together now. I now need to be faster than Zoe here. So what am I going to do here? Well, thankfully my superior warband might be able to drive off the armoured cavalry, though I doubt he'll probably move up the veteran pike phalanx next turn. Although if he does that, he'll be risking a flank attack. And with the cavalry there. Right. I'm afraid with all of that in the way, we're going to have to go bouldering over the rough ground. I need to get around here as quickly as possible, and that means taking a cut across the mountain. I'll keep these warbands in reserve here. There's no point throwing them out against the mountain. If I can goad them into that fight, then this is actually a good time to move up my light javelin. And I can move towards the mountain here because those veteran armoured warbands, the veteran armoured cavalry, will not be able to deal very well with the... but he can then move to block his armoured cavalry, but then I can hopefully move on to the hill. There's a lot of hopefullys here. I think I made a mistake moving this unit to this angle here, because now I can't effectively block his armoured cavalry if they decide to block off the warband. Although, no, yeah, because he can then turn at this angle here, and I've still got the problem with assaulting the hill. In that situation I could engage and then I can push off, so it's not a big deal. I think I've still got this. And this is going to be painful. Lots and lots of archers. I just realised that we're in serious danger of being disrupted here. But that's the nature of the Galatian army. Once you launch the assault, it really is all or nothing. Next turn. Zoe cursing hit. Oh wow, they did pursue. Zoe is currently cursing his 3 of 4 out for giving way so easily. To be fair, that is a mismatch for 3 of 4. They do not like fighting. They really do not like fighting impact foot initially. This is probably a position I want to hold, to be honest. I do need to be careful of this flank though because of the advancing enemy mediums. I did not see that one coming. How did that even happen? Were my troops facing away from the flank or something? Very careless positioning of my troops, obviously. Ah, okay. I was afraid that those Zeist 4 were going to come thundering towards our flank. Come on, guys, you need to get on with this. You should have auto-resolved that last conflict first. So I think his 3 of 4 are about to run away. That I can shut down. Or at least that will be a pursuit that goes on for a very long period of time. This is bad. Another problem with the Galatians is they are impetuous. Very, very impetuous units. They have a nasty habit of doing stuff like this. Okay, this does actually put them in quite a dangerous position. I believe that this... Oh, I have control of this unit. I can turn it. Because I believe that... The thing is, I kind of turned his flank. Well, no, he's kind of turned mine. Because I can't stop this unit from attacking if I try to block his line here. Which means he can threaten this unit here. Which means I can't quite get round his flank yet. They are still pursuing. And I can't actually touch them because of the rough ground obstructing my movement. Okay. Well, I'm very happy that I get to use this trick, seeing as I have recently been taught it through bitter experience. Oh, that didn't quite clear the path I was hoping for. I was hoping it would give me a route right up the mountain. Chariots cannot move on over difficult slopes at all, so they're probably a good candidate to send over here, right around the mountain. Let's see. Can my cavalry move up onto the mountain this turn? No. Okay. Cavalry move here. I need to be very careful right now. I need to use this unit to lock up his cavalry. It's unfortunate, the noble cavalry. But that's a good trade-off. I'm quite happy to occupy his veteran armoured cavalry that way. These guys move up, and he has to be careful of my light javelin giving them another shove. This unit can snake in this direction, I suppose. We're trying to get something around his back here. So now I either need to make sure that he can't engage me here, at least not on the diagonal like this, and get a flank attack, because he's going to flank these Galatian warbands, or otherwise I'm going to have to move a warband to confront a unit of veteran pike phalanx, and I really don't want to do that. That unit has to turn like that now. Okay, this is fairly straightforward. These units have to move like this and start to confront his troops on the hill. I have no options regarding that. It just has to happen. And this unit has to move here, but that's interesting because that force I can't stop him from engaging here. But if he does engage me here with the pike phalanx, then I can hit him with a downward charge, and that has a very good chance of disrupting these pikes. Looking at generals here. Now this is interesting. I actually probably want him to keep his general on this unit because my shock troops want to break through first and try to get behind the pike phalanx that way. Okay, maybe I've not thought this out quite as much as I should have. Oh right, so that's the idea. I have to bring this unit up, don't I? Whether or not that's a great... Well, I'm wondering whether I should invest a general here to fortify their position, or again, just let the veteran pike phalanx hit this unit. And they'll have to charge uphill. If he wants to try and hit this weak unit, he'll have to charge his pike phalanx into a generaled up superior warband. So this isn't an ideal situation for him. And of course, if he just ignores this, then I can recover from the situation and I can attack him first. What he could do is push this chariot unit out, but then he's at an even worse disadvantage. No, not really. That's the same height. So what he's probably going to do is, you can see it happening. He'll push this unit out the way and engage here, and that might actually allow him to start turning my line. We'll see what happens. For now, let's just consolidate our position on the hill, move up, etc., etc. I probably want to move to here, although my positioning is not ideal. I've been caught in this downward slope, and that might affect matters. Oh, I can't actually stop this from happening. Right, in that case, what I want to do is turn my warband around. If he tries... because he won't be able to gallop sideways in this... Well, he can gallop one tile sideways, but then I'll... Actually, this is kind of dicey. This is kind of dicey because I think if he moves here and I turn to face him, he can dart away to this side, and then he'll be behind my line. I have to keep facing this direction. So yes, that's actually a bit of a worry. He's outmaneuvering me a little bit here. And these cavalry need to keep the Zeiss before I undercheck the opposition here, because they can also monitor the situation on the flats. Yes, he got my light javelin. Yeah. Right, so I'm okay with this position, but there's a lot that can go wrong next turn. Trying to be mindful not to zoom out, because that's a bad habit of mine. Ouch. Possibly it would have been a better idea to concentrate fire on that warband. I don't want to... Oh, that's one thing to do. Form square, but now I can move around. Crunch. Right, I need some luck and impact. There we go. There we go. That's what happens. And now there's a hole in the line. He's got a gap now that he can ride through. See, I'll just push them out the way now. My chariots ran a long way. The rough ground could get in the way. So they need to get back into position and start harassing. These javelin men. Now here's the problem with going into... First of all, let's see what I can do here. I need these guys to try and stay together. Phone. Sorry about the interruption. Let me just check the recording. Yep, we should be live. Now, let's just see how this goes. Right. So I am now in a time limit. Eventually these units are going to fail. Oh, do I want to... I'd rather just keep them there and keep them intimidated by this. I don't want to advance here. Okay. So the idea was, I was kind of leaning towards this thought of moving this, and then this unit could turn, but I won't save any time that way, I don't think. Let's think about this. What I can do, just lend this unit the general. Crunch. And next, oh, I can. Yes, I can. Although it does undermine my position here to do that. We can probably hold out in the down slope if I just turn. I am worried about those lancers, because this is a dangerous corner. I need to maintain my position here. I think I'm going to have to just turn and face here. And the thing is, it depends, because it could still be worth doing. Can I break through and exploit? I think I'd be better off just holding back. These units have a good chance of holding until I can get flanking forces there. I want to maintain my formation on the hill. I think in this instance it's wise to just stay here. He is trying to close down my armoured noble cavalry, and he might well achieve that. See, try and block them. So they might get forced to move away, but I don't particularly care about that. Turn to face the Zeistafori. Make sure they're not going anywhere. Oh, if only they were close enough to get the general. It was just a little bit closer, and I think I would have managed it. Thing is, I won't be able to charge because it's unfortunately placed rough ground. So it'll be 2 turns before they can intervene. Right, just go for it. Try and crack them. Good. And if we can push back as well, exquisite, and we'll get the flank next turn. So it was fine after all. Let's see if we can get them to run away again. No, not this time, but I don't particularly care if my javelin foot end up dying horribly in a mountain somewhere. Main thing is that I'm getting past this mountain. We do have to turn to pin them here though, so and that really is going to slow us down. And I can't ignore this unit because they can come straight out of formation and attack us, I think. So let's keep moving forwards. There's just going to be a bit of mountaineering, and then I'll be around these boulders. Really? Surprised those armoured cavalry have such good odds. But that lets the rest of my forces through now. We're past the worst of the rough ground. I'd rather place that noble cavalry there. They're the priority troops. The Celtic chariots are a bit weaker. Although it does mean delaying the Celtic chariots. I suppose they can start to manoeuvre, and they'll obviously be going after the veteran armoured cav. So all my units still have a role. Continuing our slow mountaineering. I have to move in this direction because there will be a zone of control unless he decides to engage in melee. Which, to be fair, he may well decide to do. It is a strong possibility. But there you go. I'm glad I got to demonstrate that because that is the superior warband versus pike trade-off in action. He's slowly gaining the upper hand here, but I'm quickly getting a hole in his line here, and it depends who can exploit the situation first. Though it was also unfortunate he went into square because that let me through here. If he could possibly have delayed me a little bit longer if he hadn't done that. So just think about that if you're using pikes. This is the kind of freedom that going into square can allow your opponent. And the fact that I caved in this weaker flanks hurt him as well. Remember, I have the advantage because I have more warbands than he has pike units. And that won't necessarily happen because remember, these pike units, these warbands are just as expensive as these pikes. Only the veteran warband was a bit more expensive. Next turn. Zoe is trying to blame his subordinates. That doesn't really work if it's... I'm afraid you have to take responsibility for your military failures. Okay. I can move to block that passageway now. My light javelin are going to die. I continue to not care. Okay, could have got a lucky break there. And those pikes are going to collapse. Yep. Quite unlucky that they went like that. 2 pushbacks and then a break. That was as fast as a pike block can fall to a warband. Right, we mustn't attack here, otherwise I will open this line to his lancers. This is all now defense. We charge downhill and we try and break the phalanx now. Okay, this unit's holding on. So while that unit holds, once again the momentum moves back to the Macedonians. It depends whether my superior warband... Now look at this, this is interesting. Note how the odds are getting better. That's because the phalanx is getting worn down, and I'm probably going to start losing POAs. The warband isn't. Until it gets down to below 480 warriors, it doesn't start losing effectiveness. And this is how a pike phalanx can also come undone in the face of a warband army. Pull these out the way. Unfortunately, I won't be able to charge here because of the rough ground. Now we probably want to charge from this angle, don't we? So we can hit the veteran pike phalanx as well. I don't think my another game we made a joke about the Galatians possibly being able to take any position if they're drunk enough. In my game with Pompey the Great, he made that joke. Pompey, let's see. But I don't think there's enough alcohol in the world that would allow my cavalry. Sorry, that would allow my Galatians to confront the superior warband, this veteran pike phalanx on their own. We can put it in a very bad position though. This thing, I could, if we can survive this for long enough, I could guarantee a flank here. But on the other hand, that was very lucky that they held out, because I realised I've just released his cavalry behind my lines. So we need to get a move on now. I've not left anything in reserve to stop this situation from developing. I'll also check what actually happens here, because it could have been a sudden pushback. I'm going to go for it and see if we can hold our ground. That was also very... that was a mistake by me. Imagine if we'd lost impact and bounced back. That warband would have been flanked and we could have lost all of this. The veteran pike phalanx would have been flanked immediately after, but it wasn't worth that risk in hindsight. Just a case of me getting a little bit too swept up in things. As you guys know me by now, I never make mistakes when I'm under pressure. Next turn. Apparently the battle is getting interesting. I don't like the sound of that. I was winning. I thought of course they're on the hill, they don't run after. Cavalry don't run down difficult terrain. Right, well that's them locked down. Yeah, I need to win over here before this cavalry can finish getting around the flanks. Pike phalanx holds firm. These battles can go on for quite a while, of course. And we're likely to lose here. Yep. Not a good time to lose, folks. Right. Well, this is absolutely horrible. That, on the other hand, is substantially better. Now we're going for a quick break here. Nope, didn't achieve it. And that is unfortunate. But once again, if our warband can hold on, then we will manage to get the flank attack in the next turn. Let's see, I think I'll deploy here. Let's see how this goes. Now with both of our units disrupted not very well, and they could rally up. I might have to throw in this unit, which I didn't want to do. I think I'll have to. That's them fragmented, so they'll be gone soon. But that was a lot of resources to expend in that situation. Okay, let's see if we can win here. That phalanx unit's fighting heroically, which I've got to say they often do. I think that's another row of pikes gone. And he's getting through here. Aha. Oh no, but now we're starting to lose here. Okay, so this unit's probably going to go, this unit's probably going to go, and we'll swing around one another here. I need to move down here to dangerous flanks. That will force that unit to turn. Unless I can manage to get into his back quickly. No, we're not close enough. And I need to do something to lock down that cavalry unit. Or do I just try and move forward quickly? I think I'm going to move down quickly and try to threaten something here. Because he can't respond to all of these threats in time. And I'm hoping that I can break down this situation and break his armies here before the armoured cavalry can move around. To make his life more interesting, I'll move around to... I need to be careful how I do this. To harass his armoured cavalry with my skirmishers. And, you know, with a bit more thought, I'd probably have blocked him on the hill there. But I actually like this unit's positioning here because it does restrain what he can do here a little bit. If he moves here, then that potentially delays him, and I can attack him in melee with the skirmishers and hopefully push them back. Moving like this because if he pins me here, I can move around and threaten the flank again. Though by that time, that unit's probably going to lose. Right, hopefully I'll get something from this. At the very least, I'll break this pike phalanx. But this is grim. The fact that we've lost here. And I pretty much have to commit to this now. Lost. And that's not good, because now they are going to get absolutely thrashed out in the open against Thorakitai. And he's locked me down here. This is problematic, actually. I kind of have to pin them in because I think they can move away and then they'll be free and around my backs. But the problem is that this unit loses that now, which they may well do against General Dupsais to 4i. If we can't win this in time, then they could go into our back. I'm hoping to have the situation resolved by then, but there's a lot of time-sensitive stuff going on right now. Yeah, as expected, we didn't win. That was only a quarter chance. I am now on the clock, and this is, as he says, yeah, this is interesting again. Next turn. We'll probably break them again once this unit goes. Maybe not. Thing is, they don't have ammo, so they can't deal the same devastating amount of damage they could before. But that stationary volley's nasty. Yep, he's now in melee with me. Well done. That was not likely to happen. He got unlucky that that warband didn't break. So that was more by luck than judgment by me there. Oh, that's devastating. Losing the cohesion of that end unit. Unless that unit can rally up, and even a pike phalanx can't fight 3 warbands on its own, and my cavalry's coming in next turn. I think this is the moment where he loses the battle. Yeah, there was a hope for a Macedonian comeback from that before, but it's pretty hopeless now. Though that helps slightly. Couldn't quite catch that pike phalanx. Depends what my troops do next. Still chasing my javelins. Is that their light javelin? Yeah, that's their light javelin horse still out all the way out there. Oh boy. Move up these guys first. Right, hold on. Oh, they have to charge. Okay. Fragmentation. To be fair, even a veteran pike phalanx will struggle against all of that. And there goes the pike phalanx right behind it, and they break, and it's over. It's over. Ooh, but look at the way I should have moved all of this first. The way I did it meant that I denied myself a flank charge, so I don't have this to help me here. No, that was a mistake by me, and that's another example. I should have settled all of this first because I should have seen that pursuit path could have gone that way. That's one of the things that even experienced players miss. Those pursuit paths are so hard to see. You need to be an active player, and you need to have seen countless examples of that happening before you can even start to predict that's happening. See, these pikemen are going uphill, and again, these superior warbands just won't quit. They are losing ground slowly. Now here we're actually at quite a major disadvantage. So let's see, this is to my advantage, so I'll do it first. Don't turn, because otherwise they could turn to exert a zone of control. I mustn't present a flank threat. We're just slowly creeping through there. But before I make a decision with this unit, I should probably see what's going on over here. Okay, so again, the warband's large size means we're wearing down these istophori. We managed to hold here. Again, lucky because those warbands have the lower cohesion test. Okay, so just move up to there and we're fine. I reckon that the battle will be over next turn, and I reckon that will be because this unit will break. But if it holds, we'll go on a turn longer because I have nothing else ready to break at the moment. No, tell a lie. This unit should also go, so I think we're about to win quite handily here. And next turn. No, here we go. And they're off like a shot. And that's the end of the battle. So let's talk about this from the perspective of what the Macedonians could have done differently. I think that there was a restriction to the deployment zone, which meant that unfortunately Zoe couldn't start on top of the hill here. Because I think if he had been deployed a little bit further to the side, then it possibly could have moved more confidently, heavier troops more confidently onto this hill, and possibly use a combination of the rough ground and some pike phalanxes up here early to block my warband's advance onto this hill. I also think that the elephants would have been a better investment, or maybe some Zeistophoroi lancers even. But I think the elephants would have been an excellent investment to position here on the downward slope and charge at anything that attempted to gain purchase on this hill. Though I suppose that would have opened him up to my javelin men, but he could have protected those elephants with the skirmishers potentially. So that would have been a viable move. Would have caused my cavalry trouble as well. I think coming into this gulch was a mistake. A better strategy would have been to move the army around this hill and then down into the open. Because getting drawn into a fight in this part of the map really cost them quite dearly. It would have been best to have the pikes in the hill and maybe the mediums in reserve, or being used in particular positions like on this rough ground. If he could have rushed mediums forward towards this rough ground, that would have denied me a very important piece of ground early on, and his pikes and cavalry could have operated from that point onwards. So maybe have the Zeistophoroi on this flank. Just trying to think what else could have been done. It's a difficult matchup for the Macedonians, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to showcase this, because it shows how dangerous these superior warbands can be against even a pike phalanx, which you nominally think would be superior to the warbands, but they're priced the same for a reason. If the superior warbands can get an early breakthrough, they can then break through and mop up the flanks of the pike phalanx. But of course the pike phalanx can hold out for a long time and then break the Galatians' superior warbands through prolonged combat. So it's very much a toss-up, this kind of battle, and it depends on whether or not the Galatians can break through and then exploit their breakthrough in time to avoid crumbling in the face of the phalanx. But this was a tricky fight for the Macedonians, especially with so many vulnerable mediums. I think there were other units that they could have brought to the battlefield that might have been more effective. Like for instance, the elephants might have been a better pick than these Thureophoroi, because they would have been a very good unit to use against the superior warbands. Maybe bring, I know the skirmishers were limited for the Macedonians, that's the only thing. So I was thinking maybe bring cheaper skirmishers so you can afford the elephants and you can still use them to block out the light javelin. You don't need these elite skirmishers, because the skirmishers struggle to, if they have enough time they can whittle down the warbands, but they really do struggle to cause enough casualties. And I don't actually consider skirmishers to be very effective against warband armies, simply because it takes so many missiles to cause damage to them. If they can really concentrate their fire, they can cause cohesion tests, and that's obviously very dangerous for the skittish warbands. But unless you can really blast the warbands, it's like trying to take down a pike phalanx, only without the advantage of killing off the rows of pikemen. It takes forever to get anywhere, and by the time you've taken out one warband, most of your skirmishers are out of ammunition. So maybe having the skirmishers over here and using them against my cavalry. Having skirmishers over here would also have prevented my light javelin from charging the cavalry on the rough ground here, and it would have allowed them to block my progress better. So in summary, bring your strongest units over to this area here. Don't leave them in this dip in the field. Maybe concentrate your forces on one flank. Because either that, or there was an opportunity also to maybe slip some cavalry through here. It wasn't managed, but if that could have been accomplished a little better, then it's possible, maybe with the support of the Thureophoroi and the Thoracitae, if one unit of Macedonian Zeistophoroi could have slipped through this gap and then around the back of the army, then that could have been the end of my infantry line. Or it could have at least helped to reverse the situation which ended up developing here. Because this entire, he was making progress here, but this entire left flank didn't really get a chance to do anything. So thinking about my own deployment, I was a little slow to realise the danger of this rough ground, and I think I moved my troops up here a little bit slowly. There was a moment where I moved the warband here and it blocked another warband's movement here, and I threw a row of skirmish shots. I was afraid of the Zeiss to Foroi, but I think if I'd been more aggressive, I could have stopped this pike phalanx from moving up onto the hill earlier, and it would have been less dicey up here because I would have forced him to turn and face my pike phalanx while I was on this uphill slope. But on the other hand, that might then have led to a situation where I couldn't get these downhill charges. But no, I think overall if I'd moved up, I could have paralysed this line a little bit, and that would have put him in an even worse position. But I hesitated because I was afraid of the outflanking forces, and that cost me a little bit of time. I was a little bit too hesitant. Anyway folks, I have been Napoleon Complex. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the content. And I will see you in the next one. Farewell. I always forget this, don't I? Here's the end screen.